Never asking for help is selfish.
People can read as many books as they like, but if they're unable to read themselves, they'll never really learn a thing.
We don't build trust by offering help, we build trust by asking for it.
When you talked about awareness there and the importance of trying to become more aware about ourselves, and one of the things that made you aware was that conversation with your partner, where they said, you don't listen.
You're a shitty listener.
Yeah. Self-awareness, I don't know if that's a real thing, but self-awareness seems to be the foundation of personal growth, right? So becoming aware about something in our lives, and people can read I always say, people can read as many books as they like, but if they're unable to read themselves, they'll never really learn a thing. For me, and I wrote that a couple of years ago when I had a guy in my office who read every single, he was actually one of the people that always came in with your books, right? He read every single book I've ever seen. He knew every book, but he never changed.
Yeah.
And there was things within him that he wasn't self-aware about, that I believe were the reason why he couldn't evolve, even though he was taking in so much information. How does one go about, what are the key ways we can go about increasing our sense of self-awareness so that we can grow and evolve?
Such a good question. You know, it's kind of like people like that are a little bit like yo-yo dieters. You know, they do every diet, but they're not healthy people. I read every book, but I'm not growing. And you can't assess yourself. You know, it's like, you know this from work, right? Which is at some point, somebody's gonna have to give you feedback. At some point, you have to give somebody else feedback. Like, self-assessment is a thing, but it's not the only thing. It's a thing. It's a data point. And I'm a huge believer in self-assessment, but you have to have that buttressed with the assessments of others, because we are blind very often. We're social animals. We cannot do this thing called career or life alone. We're just not that smart. We're not that strong. We're not that aware. We're just not that good. As social animals, we actually need each other to watch our backs and tell us what's working and what's not working. And I think for somebody who goes through life and reads those books, all the books, you know, I get good on them, I guess, but are they asking for help? Are they asking for insight from others, as opposed to just reading it and agreeing with it and thinking they're making the changes? I know my own personal journey, and I do think of myself as, I work hard to be self-aware, and I work hard to self-evaluate, but I have seen in my own life my ability to truly demonstrate real awareness and move further down the journey and path called life, as opposed to staying stagnant, came when I let others help me. You know, we don't build trust by offering help, we build trust by asking for it, because it's a vulnerable thing to ask for help. Will you help me is a very, very vulnerable statement. Can I help you? Not so much. An act of service. But the act of service really comes from allowing somebody else to serve you, which it becomes this whole weird, twisted, circular thing. You know? It's like, I mean, I'll give you a silly example. People who are bad at taking compliments, right? You're so smart. No, right? We downplay it because we're embarrassed by the compliment, right? But a compliment is a gift. Somebody's paying you a gift. Now, if somebody handed you a present, you wouldn't push it back because it would be rude, right? You would accept it. And whether you like it or not, or whether it makes you comfortable or not, you accept it with gratitude, and then you go evaluate it later. Oh, that's an ugly sweater, you know? But you're still grateful for the thought and the gift. And a compliment's the same. And I think all of these things, the willingness to, you know, to deny someone else the joy of giving you the gift of the compliment, and to deny someone else the intensity and joy of being there for someone else, again, I think is selfish. Never asking for help is selfish. Asking for help is a great act of service because you allow someone else to have the joy of sacrifice. And it goes backwards and forwards. It's not one-sided. And this is where I think great relationships work, which is we take turns. And sometimes it's really difficult when both of us are in need at the same time. That gets really difficult. Good thing we have friends. So, you know, at the height of COVID, I have a couple of my friends, they're sort of remarkable high-performing individuals, both of them. And one of them called me out of the blue. She went for a long walk. She says, I'm doing really badly, and I need to talk to you. And I don't want to talk to my husband because he's doing really badly as well. And I fear that if I talk to him, he doesn't have the energy for me, but I know he'll want to be there for me, which will make it worse for him. we're both really struggling. Do you have some time to talk? You know? And I mean, A, the willingness to ask for help. B, the willingness to understand that asking her husband for help would make it even more difficult for him. It was just a very sophisticated and beautiful moment. And to this day, not only did we become closer for it, but her husband and I became closer for it as well, because I was there for her when he knew he couldn't be. And this is why we have friends. Like, again, we can't do this alone. Not only are we social animals, we're tribal animals. You know, it's more than a friend. It takes a community. And I think we're always talking about what we're eating, and we're talking about what what supplement we're taking, or we're always talking about those kinds of things, or what book we're reading. But we don't do enough talking about how we are nursing our close personal relationships, how we're taking care of those closest to us and making sure that the tribe is strong. The crew is taken care of, you know? And I think there's a lot more work that we can do in that arena.